Hey, folks, this clip is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Get $30 off your order of perfectly aged steaks, juicy burgers, and decadent desserts with our promo code VOLS, that is VOLS, Omaha Steaks. FAU is the ninth seed, and they are underseeded. That's the absolute truth. I mean, if generally speaking, if Tennessee's playing a 9 seed, they're probably going to be a bigger favorite than 5.5 points. But FAU, what, 33-3 or something like that at this point. They've really had an excellent season. Obviously, they won their league. They've done really well under this coach. And he's like the type of coach who probably after this year making a Sweet 16 or even an Elite 8, if he's able to pull off this win against Tennessee, I mean, he's one of those guys. He's going to get himself a big-time job. And so that is who you're facing. It is a pretty serious mid-major team. With that being said, Tennessee should win this basketball game. Let's not beat around the bush. Again, to what I said before that ad read, it will not get easier than this for Tennessee in any tournament. I mean, the only way that it possibly could is if you have some freak year where a 15 seed makes it to an Elite 8 and that's who you end up facing or something. Like, and that's how rare is that. Princeton, obviously, in the Sweet 16, they beat the heck out of Missouri. That was an impressive game. But, sometimes freak things like that happen. But this is what you're in right now is a freak thing. You were in the bracket where the 16 seed upset the 1. That's a miracle, a literal miracle. It has happened twice in the entire history of the NCAA basketball tournament. I mean, you are benefiting from one of the wildest situations in the history of this tournament. That's the situation that Tennessee is in. And don't beat around the bush there. Tennessee is more physical, has more depth, has more players, more talent in general. They have more talent and more depth and more players and more height and length and better defense, even without Zakai Ziegler, than every team left in their region before the Final Four. Every single one. I mean, you can fight me on that. I think it's probably close with Kansas State, but I don't think it's all that debatable with the other ones. So, I don't want to put pressure on Tennessee. That's not why I say this. I say it to say this is really exciting. Like, what an opportunity. Let's go out there and take this thing by the horns.
What does your gut tell you about this game? Because looking at FAU, looking at it's not a team that I kept up with a lot during the season. So looking at who they've played, 33-3, ranked 25th in the nation, lost to Ole Miss very early in the season, but beat Florida. Then the rest of their schedule, I don't think they've played a single ranked team all season. If they have, it's somebody that's ranked after they played them, perhaps, but. They're playing UAB, UTEP, Western Kentucky, North Texas, Detroit Mercy, whatever that is. I mean, 33 wins is a bit inflated. So how do we view this team?
Their best win is that Memphis game. So they just had their best win. So,
and
take that for what it is. They did beat Florida, but it was at the very beginning of the season. And they did, and it was at that Florida. Was in,
it was in Gainesville.
Is it the O'Connell Center anymore? Whatever it's called now.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it.
Yeah, whatever it is. They lost.
You beat a 16 seed by what 7-8 points. That doesn't seem. Yeah. I know they played well, obviously against Purdue, but you would think
they play a similar style of basketball to Missouri. So right off the top, that sounds concerning. You lost twice to Missouri.
Not a great matchup.
Yeah, it's not. But what has to happen is that they just have to make shots, which Missouri did. But the way that Missouri did it is because they actually had a matchup advantage. Kobe Brown, there was no one to stop Kobe Brown on Tennessee's basketball team. There just wasn't. He stuck it to Tennessee, especially in that SEC tournament game. There just was no one who could stop him. I don't think Florida Atlantic has a guy like that. If they do, I haven't seen it yet. They have some pretty good dudes on the team. The point guard, I was looking at their roster earlier. It's Javon something, and I can't remember the guy that did the interview, and and he said the S word in the interview
Mm.
on CBS, or not CBS. It was on True TV. Did you see that clip?
No, I missed that.
So it was pretty funny. I should look up his name. The point guard who had a really great game against Dickinson. Um, After the game, he was like, "Yeah, I've been working on this bleep for all this time," and then he looks up and he goes, "Oh, sorry." And then the the sideline reporter goes, "Oh, it's okay. We're on True TV." So
There you go.
it's a pretty nice little moment, but um, I don't. From what I've seen, and I watched because they played Memphis. I watched almost all of that game, and obviously because they were Tennessee's next game potentially, I watched all of the Fairleigh Dickinson game too. They don't have that dude that Missouri has, that takeover player. They have a set of dudes who can make shots and make plays and create offense, but they don't have that dominant guy that really scares me because you have to make sure you stop them. You can kind of go, if we really guard the perimeter well, this could be a blowout to me. Now, can they actually do that? And specifically, can they do that and then turn around and score? Because Ed in the comments here, he says Tennessee can't score on anyone. I'm not disputing that. Now, they did against Duke, and they did really effectively against Duke, especially after they switched to that zone. It seemed clever at first, but then after Tennessee got it figured out, it was an advantage for Tennessee after Duke
Mhm.
switched to the zone, and Olivier was just going off. I mean, it worked right into their hands the way Tennessee was playing offense. So is this game horrifying to me? No, Tennessee should win. Is it a losable game for Tennessee? Very much so. Yes, you have to come correct. You have to come with urgency. You have to come with fire. You have to come with everything you saw in that first half against Duke. That it was just crazy the amount of energy that specifically Santiago Vescovi was playing with. He was everywhere all the time on every play, and it was carrying the team. He was lighting the fire there. And can you come and do that again? Because against this Florida Atlantic team, I mean, the backcourt play is going to be massive. You have to be able to stop their guards, and Tennessee more than has the ability to do that. But it's easy to say it. It's not as easy to go out there and do it. Spring is in the air, and that can only mean one thing: spring grilling. The steak experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to spring into something delicious with their semi-annual sale. It starts Wednesday, February 22nd, so make sure you mark your calendar and get 50% off site-wide. Grab all your favorites like perfectly aged tender steaks, ocean fresh seafood, juicy burgers, air-chilled chicken, and decadent desserts. Plus, when you go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code VOLS, that is VOLS, at checkout, you'll get an additional $30 off your order. It's the perfect way to get fired up and spring into something special. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code VOLS at checkout and take advantage of this deal. I've had Omaha Steaks plenty now. Comes right to your door. So convenient, so tasty. Can't recommend it enough. Go and get it. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away, and you're going to want to hurry because 50% off site-wide is only happening for a limited time, so don't miss your chance to save. Visit omahasteaks.com. Use promo code VOLS at checkout and get an additional $30 off when you shop their semi-annual sale today. Again, it starts February 22nd. Mark those calendars and get your Omaha Steaks. Minimum order may be required. That's Omaha Steaks promo code VOLS.
Yeah, it's an interesting note about Vescovi. He really did play with a lot of energy. I don't know. Did you see the clip of him with our friend Josh Mancuso of the
I did. I did. So
hilarious.
great.
Just a side note
So
there. If
great.
you haven't seen that, check it out. Josh was on the Big Orange podcast, I don't know, a couple of months ago. Maybe it's there on YouTube, but had a great clip there with Vescovi. But I was wondering, how big of a factor do you think Olivier needs to be in this game? Because obviously huge against Duke. One of their other big wins this season against Texas was his other, 27-point performance. How key is that? Does Tennessee have to count on that to get past FAU? Does he need to, just catch fire and continue this to the end of the tournament for Tennessee to have a legit Final Four chance, or can they do it without him playing at that high level?
No, they can't. He has to play at a high level because that's a complete mismatch against this Florida Atlantic team. Their game is not down low. Their game is to hit shots against you. So yeah, I mean him stepping up would be a complete game changer. Now, can they win without him doing that? Yeah, Tennessee's done a lot this season because he's incredibly inconsistent. He drops 20 whatever points against Texas and then completely disappears in the next game. I would almost expect him to disappear because it's what I don't want to be mean. That game was unbelievable, and I will forever be grateful for the fact that he had that game against Duke and gave us that joy, and it was so fun to watch. Also, his pattern has been that he has that great game and then disappears. That's what he's done his entire career at Tennessee. So why would he change now? So I'm expecting that, but I think Tennessee can win this game without that happening. Now it was John L. Davis and Elijah. What were the names right here? Let me see. John L. Davis was the guy that said the curse word. Elijah Martin is the other guy. He was the guy that did the spinning dunk that he missed at the end of that game that the Fairleigh Dickinson coach got really mad about.
I mean, I wouldn't have even got mad about that. I would have just laughed if he would have made it, perhaps, because that's not the classy thing to do there. I mean, you learn from a very young age to dribble out the clock, but the fact that he missed it, like that's going to be a highlight on its own, and he's going to look foolish on its own. So yeah, have at it. Live with that.
It was pretty funny. A little bit of karma there that it clanged off the rim.
Yeah.
But the scenario is there for Tennessee to lose this game. The scenario is also there for Tennessee to win this game by 20. So which team is going to show up? Because so far, like Tennessee, that 20-point win team showed up for 30 minutes of the 40-minute basketball game against Louisiana. And then they almost blew it at the end. I don't think they almost blew it.
They didn't almost blow it, but it did get a little concerning when they weren't really scoring there late. It's like, is this really going to happen?
Yeah, closer than it should have been. It was never really in doubt, but
at the same time, it was closer than it probably should have been. But Tennessee's in the Sweet 16. They survived their 13-4 matchup. You have some ones and twos and that did not survive those matchups. So I would understand people being like, oh, hey, how do you only beat them by 3? But when you got to take all the context there and consider it, you just survive in advance. That's all that matters. And especially in this tournament, the way it's already played out.
It absolutely is. Like, to me, with this game, you hold, if you can, you hold this team under 60 points and go from there. Find the shots that you have to find to score enough to do that. Because I think that's absolutely doable. Now, they average 79 points a game, but of course, we've kind of alluded to it, could probably be skewed by the fact that they play no-name teams for the entire season. Their 30 wins have been from that. So play your defense, stay focused, stay fundamental. Don't turn the ball over, because that killed you in that Louisiana game too. So many turnovers. It was really foolish. Santiago has to stay out of foul trouble. Just play a clean game. And I think Tennessee, you have enough mismatches at enough positions where you can win this basketball game. Get good performances out of the guys that you need them from, and go from there. You know what would be a really timely thing to have happen is a big game from Josiah Jordan-James. Please and thank you. And or Julian Phillips, one of them. Now, Julian Phillips had some really timely, awesome baskets in that Duke game. So did Josiah. He's especially that 3 right out of the beginning of the second half, man, set the tone. And it was all downhill from there for Tennessee. Well, and I mean that in a good way. The ball rolled downhill to a win.
Yeah, I was like, no, it turned out okay.
But he started things off right. But a 20-point game from Josiah, a 10-point game from Phillips, and then the exact thing that you've been getting from Vescovi most games, really great defense and 15 points, and this is an easy win for Tennessee. I think if you can get something like that, or maybe choose your player out of the rest of the guys. Key, maybe he can have a big game, or Jonas Adu. Take your pick, but you just have to have some set of dudes come to play, put up numbers, and this is a game Tennessee should win. Move on to the Elite Eight and go avenge that game against Michigan State, because it feels like Michigan State probably is going to beat Kansas State, although can't do Kansas State. And God bless them. They beat Kentucky and Noel, man, that point guard they have. Oh, of course, Tennessee would kill for somebody like that at the moment. Obviously, Zakai was that guy. But he was electric, and I loved just close that game out against Kentucky, and it was so crushing for Kentucky. So on the whole, to put a stamp on it, you're not going to get another shot better than this one to make a Final Four. The first Final Four in school history. Just go do it. Just go do it. Come out with that fire. Come out. And Chill Mode says it here in the comments. All I care about is the Vols do not take their foot off the gas. I don't care if it's a blowout or not. Do not let up because you feel you have better talent. Exactly. This is the tournament. This is the final game of your career unless you play that way. You know, for the whole set of these guys, probably. Although I think technically everyone on this roster could actually come back. But probably will be the final game of their career unless they come with that fire and they play with that urgency and they come out and they play that defense that's going to crush these kids. And it's there for Tennessee. Just go and do it. And I guess we can just say, do you think Tennessee will be playing in the Elite Eight, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick Tennessee to win this game. I think they have better talent. I think they're playing pretty well right now. I know the Louisiana game got kind of squirrely there late, but again, you just got to win in March. It's not always pretty. I think this team feels like they have a clean slate after the up and down nature of the last 2 months of the regular season and kind of all the outside noise. A lot of it from Tennessee fans, understandably so. I mean, some of those losses were brutal, especially those Vanderbilt and Missouri losses, and even the loss in the tournament to Missouri. I feel like they feel like they have a clean slate. Everything that they wanted to accomplish is still right there in front of them. You know, go win 4 more games, and you're a Tennessee legend for the rest of your life, no matter what. Even getting to the win 2 more games, and you probably are. Like you said, it'd be the first time in program history going to a Final Four. I feel like they have something special right now. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to run the table and win, the final game because who knows with this tournament. I'm not foolish enough to think that I can predict how this thing will turn out. I mean, they're going to play some tough games if they get past FAU and if they play Michigan State or Kansas State, whichever one of those teams, could very well come down to the last possession. And sometimes it's kind of out of your hands as far as what happens there when that shot goes up. I could see it being that kind of game, and you can't really – you lose on a buzzer beater in the Elite Eight. It is what it is. Cross that bridge when we get there. But for the Sweet 16, yeah, I think Tennessee advances.
I do too. For the bettors out there that might be using Superbook, I'll say Tennessee does cover even. But it might be like,
what's the spread?
5.5.
Did you say 5.5?
Which to me would be Tennessee. I think it's gonna be close. It's not gonna be easy. They're not gonna blow them out. But Tennessee covers on free throws at the end of the game.
Hits their free throws, yeah.
That's what I'll say. And let's not forget about that in that Duke game. Some really clutch free throws down the stretch for Tennessee, which has been a problem all year.
Yeah, so. Kind of ended a little bit of that narrative that kind of cost them Vanderbilt and Missouri for sure.
Yeah, just stay loose, play your game, play with fire. You'll be all right. You're the more talented team. Go win it.